What's up, scholars? Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be talking about the G8 arc, the filler arc in One Piece. Everybody has been telling me to watch it, and I did, and oh my goodness. That arc, I know it's filler and it doesn't really count towards the story or anything, but that arc was hilarious. That filler arc was perfect. It had the right amount of comedy, it had good action in it, and it had some wonderful character moments of just like the interactions that they have with each other. It was just so good. G8 is going to be an arc where I know it's filler and it doesn't have like much impact on the story, but it's going to be one I go to rewatch when I just need a good laugh. Because oh my gosh, did this filler make me laugh. It was just a fun, good time the entire way out. And I truly enjoyed how they kept most of the characters' like personalities in line. They kept how they act pretty similar to like the canon arcs, and they kept some of the themes coming out of Skypiea going into Long Ring Longland and the Water 7 saga, and they kept some of those themes consistent, especially with the Going Merry and how the Merry needed repairs done and everything. Oh, I'm not okay. I'm currently working my way through the Water 7 arc. I finished Long Ring Longland and I'm actually in Water 7. So watching the G8 arc and seeing the similarities it's a very good continuity to have in a filler arc, because it makes it flow really easy. And to me, G8 doesn't really seem like such a big filler arc. It feels like it could flow into the story so seamlessly, besides like a few things here and there that don't necessarily add up. But for the most part, G8 seems like it could be part of the canon story, at least in my opinion. Essentially, for this review, I was going to go over like the high points of the G8 arc and kind of talk about them and just how I saw it, how I enjoyed it. And that's pretty much it. It's going to be much shorter of a review than all of my other ones I've done so far. So basically in the G8 arc, like instead of landing just in the ocean when they get back from Skypiea, they land in the middle of a marine base, the G8 marine base, and they all have to abandon ship. They get separated, and I actually really like how all the characters handle the situation, because they handle it in their own very unique, very special way. But I adore so much that Sanji and Luffy got put in a separate group together. I said it before when I was touching on it in Skypiea. Sanji and Luffy's dynamic, I love it so much. Sanji seems like such a dad whenever he's looking after Luffy. It's literally like he's trying to wrangle his son in to get him to behave, and Luffy's just not listening to him. And I really love that, because it just makes their friendship and their whole dynamic so enjoyable, because they both it's very multifaceted. I'm not gonna get into that here. I love the fourth wall breaks when Luffy's just moving around and he's like throwing up the peace signs to the camera. I know it was like technically to Sanji, but it looks like it's going through the camera, so it's a fourth wall break. I love that so much. This whole bit with Sanji and Luffy getting separated and seeing them go on their own little adventure is so funny. And then you get Sanji and Luffy pretending to be cooks, and Luffy does nothing but eat the food while Sanji's actually trying to cook. I think it was really funny that he goes up against Jessica, because they don't think that he's like a true cook, doesn't have a cook's heart. And she acts like cooking for all of these Marines is such a big deal. And Sanji's just like, I cook for Luffy. He's like, you don't know what I have to cook for or who I have to cook for on a daily basis. This is nothing. I love his little battle with Jessica, where he just truly proves that he's got like the best chef's heart, and he is the chef, the best chef ever. I love their little battle. I love how Luffy's just there, just eating food and watching Sanji work. It just seems very on point. But we also have Nami alone, and then she meets up with Zoro. She ends up selling Zoro out by kicking his swords down a cliff, and he ends up getting captured and thrown in jail by the Marines. And we also get Usopp and Robin selling Usopp out was so funny. The way she just pretended she had no idea who he was and sold him out like that had me crying laughing. It was so funny. I loved that bit of it. In a way, Robin was protecting herself and Usopp so they both weren't caught. I loved that bit. And then there's the whole like debacle with Inspector Shepard, or I don't know how you even say the name that Usopp came up for him. Condoriano? Inspector Shepard. That whole bit was so funny with him. How Robin takes him out, then he gets captured thinking they're Straw Hat. And it's just chaos as he's trying to convince the Marines that he's actually the inspector. And they're like, no, like, we've already got her here. Like, you can't be the inspector. I love how once Robin pretends to be Inspector Shepard and most of the Marines believe her, she just goes off to the library, does her own thing, takes her sweet time, is just reading and trying to get as much information as she can. That is very on brand for Robin, and I adore the details that they put into that. I also like the little bond that Usopp gets with Macau. Yeah, Macau, the shipwright that was looking at the Mary, and they talk about like how the Going Mary is actually really beat up and needs a good shipwright to take care of it. It also keeps in line with like the themes of how loved the ship is. So I do really like that. I love that part with Usopp and how he gets to inspire this shipwright to end up helping them escape. On the flip side, we also get Chopper pretending to be a doctor, and not pretending to be, but helping to be a marine doctor, ends up helping Dr. Kobato overcome her fear of like seeing blood and everything, and inspires her, and ends up convincing her to help them escape. So like there's a lot of real little character moments in this that are just really, really neat to see. And I love the interaction with Luffy and Jonathan. I know Jonathan and Jessica are just kind of these one-off characters because it is a filler arc. I doubt I'm ever gonna see him again. But man, was he such a fun character. I love the little chess games that he played, and he was so calm about everything. Just kind of took everything as it came. In the back, he's just moving pieces according to how he wants and is planning. It was so nice to see him because you get this very calm, collected, meticulous planner who is moving around pieces as he needs to, versus Luffy who is so spontaneous and just acts on a whim and what he wants to do. And it's so funny to see like the stark contrast between the two. It was so fun to watch. I love how Jonathan, like, immediately after he sees Luffy and Luffy steals his food, he's just like, yeah, I know who you are. You got the bounty on your head. That's when like Sanji and Luffy all leave. And it's just total chaos, the way they're all trying to escape, how they try to come together. But I really appreciate it because it was fun chaos, fun laid back chaos where I didn't really have to worry about what was happening. And I liked that because you don't get that in the actual sagas. And then, of course, you know, when they go and they break Usopp and Zoro out of jail, that's when the whole Condoriano thing comes up, and it's so funny. I really like that, and that makes Shepard have a grudge against the Straw Hats, and he ends up trying to sabotage them and Jonathan, but ends up helping Luffy and proving Jonathan right in the meantime. I love that little bit. It was so funny. When they escape from jail, like, and they use the sea stone and everything, this is where, like, the one big inconsistency comes up. I'm probably just being facetious about it. When Usopp hands Sanji the impact dial to get them out, first of all, the first time he does it and it's not the impact dial, and Sanji just gets so red from embarrassment. To see Sanji gets so beat red when he's embarrassed and he's like, Usopp, I'm gonna kill you. It was so funny. But the big inconsistency wasn't that. It's that Sanji was using his hands to do the impact dial, But on the impact dial, there's a recoil that could end up hurting your hands or your arms. And as a chef who highly values his hands, is the whole reason he fights with his feet. Sanji, I think, instead would have like kicked it and not try to press it with his hands. I think that's like the one big inconsistency. But even then, like it's not even that bad. It was just a one-time thing. So it's like not even a big deal, because all the other characters, like, they were pretty much on point with how they act. Like even Sanji, like in the way he acted, it was still consistent. It was just that one moment, but that was it. So I don't even think it matters that much. Their escape and how they end up getting the help from Meko and Dr. Kobato, who end up being father and daughter, to help them escape, and then they realize that their treasure has been stolen. So now that they've escaped, they have to stay out of the Marines' eyes while they have to plan this heist to go get their treasure back. The whole debacle was so funny, just watching them like go into separate, and they separate again to go like get the waiver and then go look for the treasure. But they separate again and they leave Chopper alone. I don't know why it bothers me when they leave this poor child alone. I think it's just because I see Chopper as like my baby. Like, that's my child. Take care of him. They left him alone in Skypia all by himself, and he got attacked and everything. And then they're leaving him alone again in G8. I know it's a filler, but still, like, when they leave him alone, I'm like, why? Why Chopper? This poor baby doesn't need to be by himself. Have someone be with him. That whole thing with Chopper is just a personal thing for me, I think, just because I love Chopper so much. He's a baby. He's baby and needs to be protected at all costs. That is how I view him. Even though I know he can fight, he's still baby. Luffy and Nami end up facing off against Jonathan. They get the gold back with the waiver and everything, and as they're about to leave and they get caught on the reef, Usopp comes up with the idea to use the impact dial and I think a flame dial and a breath dial maybe. Yeah, to get them, like, to shoot them back up into the sky so that they can escape. It was a very clever way to continue to use the dials, even though it's a filler arc, because they do keep being used in the future. So I did appreciate that. And I like that after, along with all the, like, the breath dial and everything, Luffy, this is one of those parts where I was just laughing so hard, but although I'm like, Luffy, what are you thinking? Is that he had the octopus in his pants the whole time? And the way, like, the camera is just panning around them, like, thinking, like, oh, if only we had that octopus. And Luffy's like, I have it. They're like, oh, he has it. Oh, he's got it. That part was so funny. I just enjoyed the humor that this arc brought. It was so good. It was so well timed, very well executed. I enjoyed myself immensely. And I really liked at the end when, you know, Jonathan kind of has that standoff, like, he's on the G8, like he's on G8 and Luffy's like on the reef, like in the Going Merry. I like their little standoff that they have, and it's like a moment of appreciation for both of them. I really liked that moment that they kind of had. And of course, Jonathan and Jessica end up being married. They're a married couple. It's so sweet, and it makes total sense with the way Jessica treats Jonathan and always trying to make sure he has like his healthy meals. That totally makes sense. I love their dynamic. They're so cute, and I wish we would see them again. I wish they weren't just one-offs for this filler, because they're adorable. But I love how, like, even though the Straw Hats escaped, Jonathan is still so laid back about it. He's like, oh, it was a good exercise, and you know, we proved that this Marine base was needed, so it's all good. But yeah, I mean, that pretty much sums it up for the G8 arc. It was just a good, fun little arc that brought me so many laughs. I love the moments that they interacted. All the interactions that we get between the characters always just brings me so much joy. I loved Usopp and Robin's interactions. I think Sanji and Luffy's interactions in this arc were still my favorite. by far my favorite. But this was a really nice little arc. I'm glad everybody encouraged me to watch it, whether it was over on TikTok or here on YouTube. I'm so glad that y'all encouraged me to watch this as I'm going through my One Piece journey. And if there's any other filler arcs like G8 that y'all like highly recommend, let me know so that I can plan to watch them as I'm going through the sagas, because I need another good moment of laughter in my life because I'm currently in the Water 7 arc and I am not having a fun time. I am, but I'm not. But other than that, that's pretty much it for this video. Thank y'all so much for coming on here and watching this review with me. It was such a fun little arc and I enjoyed talking about it again, even though it's not very long. Next, we will be reviewing Long Ring Longland. I am doing it arc by arc instead of the sagas now. So Long Ring Longland will be the next review that I do, and then Water 7 will be after that. So there's going to be a lot to discuss in these next few reviews, and I'm very excited for them. I'm also going to be having a end of year review since it's December. We're about to hit Christmas, so I'm going to do kind of like an end of the year wrap up type video, so be on the lookout for that. I'm also probably going to have a blooper reel video because those are just fun for me to do. I enjoy them. I did one last year. So there's probably going to be a blooper reel in the next few weeks, kind of as we're moving forward into the new year. So that's pretty much it. Be on the lookout for those next few videos. I'm really excited for where this channel is going to go in the next year. So thank y'all for watching this video, and I will see you next time, scholars. Bye!